right. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Marriage Meeting Podcast. My name is Ashley Kane. This is my co-host and handsome husband, Lawrence Kane Jr. Make sure that you like, subscribe, go to all of our platforms. I'm at the Ashley Kane. He's at
Lawrence Kane Jr.
And most importantly, go to check out my blog, theashleyking.com, where I talk about lifestyle, parenting, marriage, all of the things. Okay. So with this episode, we are going to talk about Married at First Sight. So Married at First Sight is a show on Lifetime where people come together and are married sight unseen. They don't know each other from Adam. So they come together because they have been wanting to be married, and this is something that's very important to them, and so experts actually match them, right? And so yesterday was the season premiere, and it was 3 hours long, and we made it.
We did.
We made it.
Hopefully their marriages make it. I ain't trying to keep watching this show.
So today's conversation is stemming from topics that came up during the show. It's not really like a review of the show, but just, to get us a conversation piece, right? Mm-hmm. So the first topic that came up, that always I feel like comes up with, especially the first episode and throughout, it's like, in order to really scale up, if you will, or find that deep true love that you never had before, or be in that relationship that you just always dreamed of being in, like, you can't do the things that you used to do. Right? Like, people come on this show and they are really ready to find love and they say that they're all in, but then these little things come up and they're like, well, I'm not used to that. Like, I don't do that. And it's like, well, duh, you shouldn't. Like, you should be doing something new.
Yeah. Right. I think, and just going back to why we even do content together, is we had to grow. Like, you can't be the same person and expect different results, right? That's the definition of insanity. And with these couples, I feel like they are robbing themselves of that true experience to learn somebody on a deeper level. You signed up for this show. Nobody forced you. So you are forcing you are forcing your previous failures on something that could potentially be the forever after. And it's always interesting that every season they have that, one or two people that they literally self-sabotage their marriage.
That's a good way to say it, self-sabotage, right? And I know, like, it's harder in reality, right? Like, you really have to talk to yourself every day, like, no, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole of, is he keeping a secret? Or, no, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, like, he's not my type, right? So when we got together, I've shared before in my blog, we really came from relationships where we were ready for a total change, complete, 180 to something different. And I held him to a higher standard than I had any other guy, right? Like, on our first date, what was one of my questions to you?
The Steve Harvey book. That's what it was.
I was reading the Steve Harvey book.
It was, where do I see myself in 5 years, wasn't it?
Yes. And I would have never thought to ask anybody that, right? But that was important to me. How old was we when we
I was 21. I'm not going to say your age, because you're a little
whatever. Older. So I was 22, right? So still young, but I knew that from previous relationships, like, I didn't want to put up with the same stuff. So that means I can't change anybody that I'm coming into a relationship with, but I can change, how I act. So our first date, I held him to that, asking him questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I don't even know my answer. I probably
You
made
was going to do
it
HR.
up.
You were going to be in human resources.
Yeah.
I can't remember everything you said, but it obviously had.
And I was working I was in banking at that time.
Yeah.
So, I did have, at least in my mind, that vision. But that was, again, going back, that was single Lawrence answering that question.
Right.
With the intent on making sure that, like, no matter what, I'm going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people go into these relationships not thinking of the change that can happen. If I get serious with you, I can't say, well, I'm still gonna be doing this.
Right.
I'm still gonna be. I'm. Can't nobody change me, and it's like it ain't really about changing. It's about
or somebody changing you.
Yeah.
Right. Like the only constant is change, and we have changed. Like we are not the same Ashley and Lawrence, 12 years ago?
Yes, 12.
As we were 12 years ago. Okay, so with us, I don't know. I feel like it has just been relatively easy to roll with the punches, to roll with the changes, to roll with the, oh, he lost his job, to roll with the, oh, we're pregnant again, and again, right? We got 3 kids.
Just 2 agains.
Well,
let's be clear.
2 agains. But, like all of those things can change the trajectory of your relationship. And just understanding that coming into the gate, I feel like it's just a good thing to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not going to be the same, and I'm okay with that. So, anyway, on Married at First Sight, I feel like this is something that the new couples, they seem like that's what they want. Like they want to do something different. That's why they signed up, mm-hmm. right? Like they want this ultimate love and marriage. But then I think as it goes through, they start like, I don't know, like reverting because you get comfortable, right? I want to go back to that comfortable place.
Yeah, and one of the things that you had wrote down in the notes was holding on to that type. Right,
Oh,
so specifically with yesterday's episode, which is episode 1 of I think season 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
Can't keep up. We've been watching this, or me, since 2020. But they met each other at the altar, right, for the first time, and the girl was like, "He's not my type,"
mm-hmm.
right? Like, and I still believe that couple will still say yes on decision.
And that was
initially.
Alexis and Justin, right?
Yeah, that was the 6'8" guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like having that type of like, this is the type of person that I need or I want, like mm-hmm. having that in your head when you meet somebody that again can potentially be your forever after. Mm-hmm. It's important to like get away from having types and just have those standards. And it is hard, but it's possible.
It is, because you want, and like I don't know if I had a type, but I know that I had never dated anybody like Lawrence, right? Like light skin, relatively short, like he was.
As long as I'm taller than you, that's all that matters.
I don't know if I had a type. I don't know. Did you have a type?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So maybe that was easier for us. Because we didn't I didn't say, oh, I need him to be 6'5" and he needed to be built. Like, I didn't have this list in my head. And I'm not saying that I never did, but at the moment when I was ready for a relationship with him, I didn't. Yeah. Now, of course, in high school, I probably had a whole list, with my friends of things that I wanted, my guy to be. Yeah. But, like, I think, again, that self-sabotage comes in when you have such a narrow mind of what this dream guy looks like. But, like, how do you even know if you never met him?
Right. Or you just have these preconceived notions that whatever standards you do have, that this person, I don't believe this person can meet it. And that's a lot of things a lot of couples go through on the show, specifically with Married at First Sight. But I think just in general, right? Like, and granted, we haven't dated in our late 20s, early 30s, right? We've been together since our early 20s. Yeah. So there are a lot of people around us that are still in the dating pool, and they're just like, again, they have these expectations like, because
they've been through a lot of relationships and they clearly see what they want. So I get that too.
Yeah.
But I guess, like, if you have that vision and you want something different, I think it's okay to give it time to grow. Mm-hmm. To, like, okay, he's not my type. He's not what, I expected him to make 6 figures. I expected him to have a huge social life or whatever, but that he's not checking those. But, like, what really matters is how they make you feel, how they show up for you, and just how y'all mesh as a couple.
Yeah, how you can grow together. Because you're not definitive. Like, we've been together 12 years, married 8. We are not our finished product. Mm-hmm. Like, we have a lot of growth individually and collectively, but there's also transitions in that, right? Like, again, we knew what it was like to date and not have kids, to having 1 kid, to having 2 kids, to having 3 kids, to, and everything that came with that, right? New responsibility, different schedule, and being on I think our mindset has always been, let's try to be as unified as possible in our house.
Yes.
Let's make sure, yes, we may, compromise on certain things that we initially, like, didn't think we would have to compromise on, but it's not about the individual, it's about this family, how
as a unit.
Yeah, so I think that also is
key.
That's always key, but it goes to what you would put down with. There's a guy in particular on the show that I don't think he thinking like that.
So his name is Ben, and I can't remember.
He's not an entrepreneur. He's an engineer. I want to say he's Asian American or something like that.
Okay, so and he's very frugal, okay, and I am frugal. My husband, even though he's the financial coach, he is the spender in our relationship. And so Ben last night was saying, just giving examples of how he exemplifies frugalness in his life. And he said that for his wife's birthday or something, he would buy her crypto. And, like, everything he saves goes into crypto and investments. Yeah. And, like, he eats peanut butter and banana sandwiches every day. Like, he does not want to waste money. I get that. But come on.
Yeah.
I can't say that I would appreciate crypto for my birthday. Or, like, if I want to go out to dinner, like, you nickel and diamond every little thing.
That's the funny thing so his friends was like, why does she want to go to Ben and Jerry's? Now, so this is this season is in San Diego.
Yes.
Right? So, they all like, man, you real cheap. They, like, his friends was telling him about himself, and they're like, what if your wife want to go to Ben and Jerry's and she want 2 scoops? And he was like, oh, man, that's lavish life. She can't do that.
She got to get like, 1 scoop and a cup, not even the cone.
It was so funny.
But the person that they matched him with wants to travel or enjoys traveling. And so they asked her, like, the girls, because they hadn't met yet, asked her, like, what if your husband didn't want to travel or held you back from that? And she said that, might be a deal breaker. So those are the things when we think about, like, well, why did the experts match them? Yeah. Right? It must be something. Yeah, maybe they're thinking that she's going to pull him out of his shell or frugalness or whatever. And maybe he'll also allow her to start actually saving. I don't know, but y'all, I was like, okay, I was following them, but then I was like, nah, I can't get with that. Because even at our brokest moments, there was things that we could do to still enjoy the little money that we had, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that was just taking a walk to get ice cream or, sitting on the porch and enjoying food. Like, there's still ways to enjoy while being frugal without trying to feel like you nickel and diming your spouse.
Absolutely.
And we know that money can be the route to divorce or the road to divorce. Like, not having those healthy relationships with money, not being open about your finances and things like that. And one thing that I always say, and I have said in my blogs, is like, if it's not working for the both of you, then it's not working. Right. So if he's extremely frugal and she is on the other spectrum where she just spends, and it's not working for either of them, it's not going to work. So I'm really interested to see what the compromise will be. And I think they can figure it out.
But they've had couples like that, right? Remember Gil and Mirla, right? They were total opposites. She was this flashy, I'm going to treat myself.
But Gil came out at the end, though, with the red bottoms and stuff.
But that's after the fact. He didn't bossed up. But they're, who was it? Jose and Rachel from one of the seasons. Yeah. He was the big, here go my whiteboard with all my expenses.
But that season, nobody stayed together.
Yeah, that season.
They stayed together, and then at the reunion, everybody was divorced.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, man, where, again, what I learned with this episode, this 3-hour episode, was there's a lot of people that like the idea of marriage, but they don't like the work that comes with it.
Well, we don't know yet. They might like the work.
I don't think so.
But I don't know if you can like the work until you get into it. That's with anything, right? You got this vision again, and I talked about this too in my blog, that people say is work, and then you have that negative connotation that is hard, but the work doesn't have to be hard.
That's what I'm saying. The work is
the work is the work.
The work is the work. So everybody's not going to like to do that part. And I think with these couples, it's a couple of them where it's like, I can see the conflict happening. I mean, we had people in these past episodes or these past seasons, you could tell right off the top, like, yeah, this not gonna work out. And they said it like, yeah, this not gonna work out, right? The who was the last last season where they got a divorce the first week, and it's like these couples really, and that's just anybody, right? Because they're doing it extreme. They're doing it sight unseen, like you buying a house sight unseen.
But that's what makes it, I feel like, so much worth it. Like, if I'm gonna take that extreme and do it married at first sight, I'm gonna go all in to the best of my ability. And I'm not saying that none of the couples did that. But sometimes from the outside looking in, it just feel like they didn't go all in. Right. But again, you gotta go at your comfort level. So the work is the work. The work that we do in our marriage to make sure that we are progressing and meeting goals that we have set is talking to each other, having financial meetings, having marriage meetings, making sure that we make dating a priority, making sure that we're on the same page when it comes to raising our kids. Like, communication. Pastor Cal always say over communicate. I'm probably the over communicator because I'm an external communicator, right? Like, if something is going on, like, I'm probably talking it out. It probably don't make no sense to him in the moment, but I'm talking it out. And he's more internal. But we've learned that. We've learned our communication styles, and who's to say it won't change? But just being in tune with each other, checking in on each other. I think that's the biggest work that you can do. Just be consistent
and be considerate.
Yeah,
right? Because you're going into a situation that could be familiar to you, but not to your partner.
Right.
So you may know how to handle certain things and your partner doesn't. It's like you got to be considerate of that. Be considerate when it comes to finances. Be considerate of the fact that your spouse may not have had a good relationship with money growing up. You know, so what they are accustomed to now could be because of their past, and you got to be considerate of that as they're trying to change for the betterment of your household. Right. You know, these things take time, and you know, again, like Ashley said, communication is the most important part. And effective communication, consistent communication, loving communication. Because even in the disagreements, I still should feel like you love me, even in this disagreement, even in this conflict where my stomach tight, but I know that you not speaking to me because you can't stand me or you want to hurt me. Is because you love me. You love me so much that you having this conversation. It ain't because you don't love me. So I think that's important as well. So I'm excited to see, obviously, the other couples get married next episode next week, and I'm praying it ain't 3 hours because I'm gonna have to take a nap.
Y'all,
if that's the case, I'm gonna have to look at it.
We have a strict bedtime, and then we watch our show and we go to bed. 3 hours, woo. But I just wanted to share, I chuckled when you were talking about the healthy relationship with money, because I laugh at myself, because I always, in my mind, I'd be like, he makes so much money. He makes so much money. Like, even when I was making more money, I'm like, he make the money. Like, and like, I don't know where that came from. And on paper, like, we talk about finances. I see how much we make, how much we spend. And it's just funny. That's just funny to me. Like, my husband got it. Like, but we got the same account, y'all. We got, like, it's just so funny. Like, that's how I think about finances. Like, oh, he got it.
Yeah, you silly. That's all that is.
I know. I was just chucking at myself. Like, whatever. All right, so that was just, our takeaways and talking points from the first episode. So I'm sure if you stick with us, there'll be even more things that come up, things that we can share about our relationship, and just, again, we're here to just be a blessing and share our thoughts after our 8 years of marriage, and just hoping that we can share and learn from you all as well. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Follow us at The Ashley Kane and Lawrence Kane Jr.
And if you watch the show, if you part of gang, you need to let us know how you feel about these couples. Because I got a couple of them that I got faith in already. And some of them I'm like, yeah, this don't seem like this gonna work. So
right. So
let us know in the comments.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see you next week.
Peace.